Welcome to the Herd's official YouTube channel. Make sure to like and subscribe. Don't forget to check out the Colin Cowherd podcast, all of our NFL instant reactions, and more football content. The Athletic is that subscription business. You know, they got some really good writers there.
Yeah, oh yeah. Familiar
And we've always known there's a gap between the best quarterbacks and the second, third-tier quarterbacks or the best coaches. That's obvious, right? But the Athletic polled 29 coaches, executives, general managers, and they polled them on the best front offices upstairs. The guys in the nice boxes during the game, the camera occasionally shows. And the top 10 might as well be the Herd hierarchy. Eagles, Ravens, Rams, Bills, Chiefs, Buccaneers, Packers, Seahawks, Lions, Niners. I mean, it's the Herd hierarchy, basically. And I don't buy the Packers are lucky to hit on 3 straight quarterbacks, or the Eagles coincidentally have another stacked roster. The gap between front offices is as large or larger than owners, quarterbacks, and coaches. I mean, look what Jim Harbaugh's done in 20 games with the Chargers. Worst to maybe best team in the league. What's most interesting to me in this poll is those top 10 teams, they've all got, quarterbacks, top quarterbacks. Isn't it fascinating how each team landed the quarterback, the most important position? Each took an entirely different route. Let's start with the Eagles. It's fascinating. So the Eagles, they go to the second round. A smaller quarterback, Jalen Hurts, an athletic quarterback. At the time, they had Carson Wentz, moved off him, and they decided we're going to build an offense around this kid who's incredibly strong for his size and do some different things that a lot of teams aren't willing to do. We're going to go contrary into the market. They had big, tall, rangy Carson Wentz. We're going to go smaller, strong athlete who's better moving initially than throwing. Second in this athletic poll is the Ravens. They passed on Lamar Jackson once themselves in the first round. And then they decided, let's go for this hyper-athletic kid from Louisville. At the time, remember, his mom was representing him. It was very different. But we're not going to play him initially. We're going to wait a while, let him watch Joe Flacco. But we're going to roll the dice on this super athletic quarterback, perhaps the most athletic quarterback probably that's ever played. The Rams didn't do it that way. The Rams had a Super Bowl quarterback. They're like, we're going to trade him to Detroit and get Matt Stafford, who actually has never won a playoff game. But we believe he's one of the best throwers of the football in the league, and we're actually going to pay for Stafford and Jared Goff to make it happen. The Bills different. They went to a small college. They go get Josh Allen. They trade up for him, and we're going to need you to play. You're raw with a huge upside, but we're going to need you to play really quick. First year was bumpy. Second year, third year got magical. How about Kansas City? Yeah, we're going to get this quarterback from a conference, the Big 12, that most of their quarterbacks stink and don't work in the NFL. We're going to trade up for him, but unlike Buffalo, we're not going to have him play. We're going to have him sit and learn the system, get his mechanics right. Alex Smith, learn the system behind a great mentor. We do not need you to play early at all. How about the Buccaneers? They're on this list. Buccaneers said, you know what we're going to do? There's this guy, a little cocky. There's this guy, Baker Mayfield. We're going to give you like a 1-year prove-it deal and see if you got anything. And, yeah, we're not really sure, but we kind of, Sean McVay like you. You got the Browns to the playoffs. And so the Buccaneers go, we're going to go with Baker Mayfield. And now they've signed a new long-term contract. Green Bay does it totally differently. We're going to draft you, Jordan Love, and for the second time, sit you for 3 years. You won't take a meaningful snap. The Seahawks made this list. They go, and we're going to go into free agency. Yeah, I mean, we had Geno Smith. We're going to go a little younger, a little more athletic. We're going to bring in eventually an offensive coordinator, Clint Kubiak, who works very well with quarterbacks. We're going to go free agent. The Lions do it differently. They're like, okay, we'll give up Matt Stafford. We'll make a trade with the Rams. The Rams will pay for it. Goff's pretty good, not Stafford, but pretty good. And as the Rams pay for the contract, we're going to build a roster and take all those draft picks and make us into a powerhouse. And the 49ers did it totally differently. They went and gave up a ton of picks for a first-round quarterback and very quickly said, oops, yeah, that's not working. And then they got lucky. They drafted a guy they passed on multiple times. The entire league passed on 5, 6, 7, 8 times, and they got Brock Purdy. And this proves there's multiple routes to the mountaintop for the most important position in the National Football League and in life. It reminds me when the LIV Golf Tour, disrupted the PGA Tour. Rory was loyal to the PGA. Phil wanted to be a disruptor. He left. And Bryson DeChambeau, everybody wanted him. And he's like, you know what? I want the freedom and flexibility to build my brand and YouTube it. And the PGA, they're not going to like that. And LIV's going to allow it. And by the way, all three, none were wrong. Each chose a different path for different reasons. And all are okay. The only absolute truth in the NFL when it comes to quarterback, because I just showed you the top 10 teams and they all had a different route. There's no one way to do it. The only absolute truth, if you find yourself as a GM or a coach or a left tackle or even a fan, trying to convince yourself you have a franchise quarterback. Well, you know, he works really hard. He's a winner. I don't know. He's feisty. If he doesn't have an elite next level trait, you don't have the guy. So when Margot Robbie walks into a movie scene, you don't have to explain it. Going to be a good scene. Good traits. Margot Robbie. So that's the only rule in the NFL. 7th round, trade, free agency, draft from a bad program, rest, sit behind Alex Smith, play him immediately. Million different ways to do it. But what you have to win a Super Bowl is do it. However it is, you got to find a guy. The good news is there's a lot of different routes. All right, Sunday Night Football, I don't think it's going to be a close game. Green Bay is facing Dallas, and Green Bay is great and in a bad mood because they just lost to Cleveland. And Dallas isn't necessarily in a bad mood. They're just in a bad spot. Weak staff, weak roster, and CeeDee Lamb still hurt. Micah Parsons now is returning to Big D, and Micah says, hey, no hard feelings. I can't wait.
Dallas loves me. You know, I think they're going to give me a good round of applause. And, you know, there's no hard feelings there, at least for me. And I think it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be a great atmosphere. I think, you know, this is some of the best football you're going to get in Dallas when it's Sunday night against, you know, a rivalry opponent.
There should be no hard feelings. In that athletic survey about front offices, Dallas got no votes of the 29 people. Green Bay got 11 of 29, right? 11 people said they're a top 5 organization. Saquon Barkley, Giants to the Eagles, Super Bowl ring first year. Stafford to the Rams, from the Lions, Super Bowl ring first year. Shohei Ohtani, Angels to the Dodgers, World Series title first year. All in the first year. Some people are just too talented to mire in dysfunction, and that's what Dallas is. There's a lot of, you hear all this altruism. I am going to go down with a ship. Be loyal. Oh, it's nonsense. You end up like Mike Trout and Barry Sanders. You end up surrounding yourself with second-tier executives, managers, coaches, people hitting in front of you, left guards blocking for you. That's why I've said with Joe Burrow, Joe, you got to talk to your agent and consider demanding a trade. Cincinnati, Carson Palmer said, enough is enough. So, I mean, Kevin Garnett's biggest regret. Remember when he got to the Celtics? He said, my only regret in the NBA, I didn't leave Minnesota at the time dysfunctional earlier. So Micah Parsons in this deal should have absolutely no regrets. It's one of those Saquon Barkley moves, Matt Stafford moves, and Shohei Ohtani moves. He is leaving dysfunction and an average roster and an average staff, and he is upgrading across the board. And Uncle Colin, life rule number 7 or 8, I forgot. Ride the wave in life. Don't fight the current. The Packers, they win, they coach, they draft, they develop. You go to Green Bay, you ride that momentum, that culture, and that winning wave. Sadly, in Dallas last 20 years, for the great players, it feels like you're fighting a current. Today's show is brought to you by our new presenting sponsor, Hard Rock Bet. The Hard Rock Bet Sportsbook app, it's clean, it's very, very easy to use, and it lets you see the top trends and what everybody else is betting on this weekend. So as we head into week 4, the NFL Sunday slate, you're going to want to check out the Hard Rock Bet Stats Hub. Very latest line movements, the trends that actually matter, some crazy streaks. I love it. You can find live odds, bet on all of the streaks, and more right in the Hard Rock Bet app. So if you haven't placed your first bet on Hard Rock Bet, it's pretty easy. $5, place your bet. If it wins, you're going to get $150 in bonus bets on top of your payout. So plus tomorrow on the Hard Rock Bet, you can get a Sunday parlay boost to the game. So you boost a same game parlay or the SGP Max, so your bet pays extra winnings. And then you get to run it back on Monday night with another profit boost. So there's new promos daily. So if you're listening to this later, just open up the app, check out what you've got any day of the week. So The Athletic did this survey where they surveyed 29 people in the NFL and executives, GMs, and some coaches. And first place, second place, third place, fourth place, fifth place. You had 5 opportunities to vote the best front offices in the NFL. Not coaches, vote the best front offices. Here's the most shocking thing in the entire list of teams is somebody put the Pittsburgh Steelers as the second best run front office in the NFL. Who and how? That's unbelievable. You better hope whoever voted him, the Steelers number 2, isn't your general manager. Because it's 2025 and they have not won a playoff game in 8 years. They are completely tone deaf to offense. By the way, Aaron Rodgers, who is the worst quarterback in the league right now under pressure, the problem is he's often under pressure. They can't figure out their offensive line. It's been 7 years. So the Steelers' offense since 2020 is 27th total offense, 23 in scoring. It is an offensive league. And in fact, I saw this story this morning. The Browns and the Titans have more offensive touchdowns from 2017 until today and more playoff wins than the Steelers. I'm not joking when I say this. The only thing that gives you hope is, well, Tomlin knows what he's doing and the defense is very good. It's not. The defense is not playing well. So it's an incredibly expensive defense, and it's kind of slid backwards the last 3 years. So they've only had one Pro Bowler drafted in 5 seasons. That's Najee Harris. He is gone. So, I mean, I get writing in your friend. Like your friend runs for mayor in your small town. You give him a write-in vote. You know, nobody cares. But if it ever got out that you voted the Steelers, the second best front office in the league, you have to pray as a fan that your GM did not vote them. Your executive did not vote. And this is nothing against Tomlin. It's the whole organization. You know, Mike Tomlin doesn't control the draft. Mike Tomlin, you could argue, doesn't control the offensive line, which they can't solve. They cannot solve their offensive line. And I'm going to argue they have better than average personnel. So the defense, I don't know what to say. It's a little old in spots. There's a bunch of talented people. I think Minnesota is going to be a handful for them. I like Minnesota in that game comfortably. Mike Tomlin this week addressed what so far has been a strangely underperforming defense.
Getting off the field a lot or frequently enough on defense. And I think it's altering our time of possession. And oftentimes that dictates how the game is played in a myriad of ways. We're somewhat limited with some of our schematics due to obvious circumstances. I expect us to continually work and get better in some of those spaces.
It is interesting. There's been this trend that I've talked about, and I've asked people in the league, but if you look at defensive coaches, they struggle with offensive line play. I mean, right now, Houston has the worst offensive line. The Steelers, once again, have a bad offensive line. We have defensive head coaches. So I don't really have an explanation for it. McVay, Andy Reid, Sean Payton have shown the ability time and time again. The Niners, by the way, have shown the ability with average personnel or in rebuilds to develop offensive lines very quickly. Great O-line, Dan Campbell, offensive coach, Sirianni, Philadelphia. And I'm not saying the GMs don't count, but 5 of the 6 top offensive lines right now, according to PFF, and this is an annual reality, 5 of the top 6 offensive lines have offensive coaches. The exception is Buffalo, who's had Deion Dawkins anchoring at left tackle, an elite left tackle for years and years, and he moves their number up. But Buffalo's the exception. Other than that, top O-lines, offensive coaches, many of the worst O-lines, defensive coaches. I don't have an explanation, but it feels like a trend for the last several years. J-Mac, do you, like I watched PFF. I've disagreed through the years on PFF, but I think by and large, Chris Collinsworth's company is pretty accurate. So it's funny, Aaron Rodgers right now, the Vikings play the Steelers in Dublin. We both like the Vikings in this game. Carson Wentz, according to PFF, is kind of middle of the pack grade. Aaron's the second lowest graded quarterback below Spencer Rattler, who's never, I don't think he's ever won an NFL start. But it's funny, I've watched Aaron. I would have never guessed that he was that lowly graded. He's made, he still does the back shoulder stuff. I thought he got a bad interception. He got a bad break from a teammate that made a mistake against Seattle. That wasn't his fault. I've watched almost every snap this year. I would never guess he's the second lowest graded quarterback. I would think middle of the pack. Now he's strictly a pocket quarterback right now, but it's interesting. And I'm this is not a criticism, but I think Aaron and Carson Wentz right now are fairly similar, past their primes, had some injuries, both more than capable arms. Wentz doesn't move like he used to. He's a pocket guy. Aaron doesn't move like he used to. He's a pocket guy. But PFF has one guy at the bottom of the rung, and the other guy, it's pretty interesting. Do you buy it, PFF? Do you trust their numbers, rankings?
Yeah, I think for sure. Anything, right? It's outside of sports. You take a little of info from PFF, you take a little info from here, EPA, success rate. You put all of it together. You don't just look at PFF and say Aaron Rodgers stinks. But he's not passing the eye test, Colin. Let's be real. He looked okay against that Jets team, but they've proven to be like a kind of a mid to bad defense so far. And Seattle kind of confounded him. So I know I haven't really seen it, the eye test, but PFF is confirming what I'm seeing.
Now, what's interesting about this game is Aaron, there were rumors that the Vikings, Kevin O'Connell, the head coach,
yes.
There were rumors they were in on Aaron Rodgers. That leaked out. Aaron denied it. Aaron did clarify it yesterday when asked about the team he's facing this weekend in the Vikings.
I'll just reiterate that Kevin and I have been friends since 2008. We used to work out together at a little place called Fitness Quest 10 out in North County, San Diego. So I've known him forever. We've been friends forever, and we keep in touch. He's one of the guys that keep in touch with. Things never progressed, farther than catch-up conversations. I'll just leave it at that.
All right. Just leave it at that. I don't know what that means, but I'll leave it at that.